Hi guys, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today we are taking a look at 5 of my favourite guitar moments from the Bends by Radiohead. So I've just taken part in a video over on Produce Like a Pro with my friend Warren Hewitt. Yes, another video on Produce Like a Pro, doing quite a lot of stuff over there at the moment, a lot of good content with Warren. And we decided that I should take a look at the material that I looked at on the Produce Like a Pro video in a little bit more detail and add an extra song to this lesson that wasn't covered in that video. Now, The Bends was their second album and was released in 1995, and it includes such standout tracks as High and Dry, Fake Plastic Trees, Just, My Iron Lung, Planet Telex, Street Spirit. The list goes on. There isn't a bad track on this album, and it was a real shift in writing style. The writing was a lot richer, the compositions, and we also see Ed O'Brien and Johnny Greenwood really pushing the boundaries with their experimentation with the use of the guitars within the compositions. My first book that I ever wrote back in 1997, I wrote 2 books, and I wrote these 2 Radiohead books. I don't know if you can see them there. I wrote Jam with Radiohead Volume 1 and Volume 2. I'd never written a guitar book in my life. I'd been doing transcriptions for Guitar Techniques for a few years, but when this job came up, I jumped at the chance, although I was totally underqualified and really did sort of learn on the job. But yeah, pretty proud of these books, and always have such a fondness of Radiohead, and obviously really had to analyze the music and the parts to write these transcriptions. Now, before we get into the lesson, let's just mention the gear. Johnny Greenwood is famed for using that old Telecaster Deluxe, which features the dual lace sensor pickups in the bridge and a lace sensor in the neck. And he also has a kill switch on it. And Ed O'Brien has used a wide variety of guitars, probably most famously a Strat. He used an Eric Clapton Strat and now has his own signature Strat that features a Fernandes Sustainer pickup. When it comes to amplifiers, Johnny and Ed have used a wide variety of different amps, although Johnny Greenwood is most associated with the solid state Fender amps. He goes for that very harsh synthetic distortion. He also used an old Marshall Shredmaster pedal, whilst Ed O'Brien used more traditional valve amps and probably best known for using a Mesa Boogie. For effects, you know, this is a real rabbit hole to go down, but a lot of textural effects, a lot of unusual effects, envelope filters, and the whammy pedal, obviously, and also things like ring modulators, a wide variety of effects, and also the way that the effects were used were very much to create parts. They weren't used to embellish the sound. They were really used to be able to come up with creative parts. Okay, so now talk about guitars. And yes, I have swapped guitars. The wonders of video editing. I probably should have been holding my electric guitar when I started this video. I thought I'd bring this guitar out. This is a very, very, very special guitar to me. I have an Axis Sport and that has P90s in, and I wanted to try and get a guitar that was a little bit more like my Telecaster, and this is before I had my custom 3 single coil Axis made, and I requested something to replicate the Axis Sport because I put one of these Damasio Deluxe Pluses in it. So it's a little bit different to the normal MM90 guitars that Music Man were putting out then. I went for the fixed bridge because I wanted to make it a bit like my Tele. It's got a Damasio DLX Plus in the bridge. It has the piezo switch. We have a piezo bridge. And unlike the normal 3-way switch that they had on the MM90s, this has a 5-way on it. Like I said, this was a custom built guitar for me and is absolutely fantastic. So we're using this today to get some classic neck tones and a little bit more crunch out of the bridge. I'm running into my Mesa Boogie Fillmore 50 combo, and we're using Cab Clone IR, and I'm using a 2x12 open-backed impulse response. I'm also using a Digitech whammy pedal. I have an original whammy 1, and also there's quite a lot of post effects going on. I've used a mixture of lexicon reverbs off of the UAD, and I'm also using some of the TC Electronics plugins. I'm using the DVR 250, I think it is. That's the really big old vintage reverb that I'm using for some of those very spatial reverbs. And I'm also using the 2290 DT delay. So now we've swapped back to the acoustic guitar, and let's just talk about this guitar that I'm using for the acoustic parts. This is a Yamaha Compass series guitar. I've had this for a very, very long time. I'm actually using a Lewitt microphone. My overhead microphone, I was experimenting with ways to capture the guitar, and that mic is just so good. It picked the guitar up beautifully. So that's the gear I'm using. Let's get into the lesson. So let's kick things off by taking a look at Just. So we start off, we're going to be using the chords of A minor. We're just playing bar chords, A minor down to a G sharp major. Then we have an E flat major to an F major. So let's take a listen. We have A minor, G sharp major, E flat major, F major. Then we have A minor again, G sharp major, E flat major, and B flat major. So let's put that first part of the verse progression together. Here we go. Okay, for the final part of the verse, we have A minor, And then we're just dropping down chromatically. We have G sharp major, G major, F sharp major, and then finally F major. So let's put that together. Okay, so let's play through the verse progression. Here we go. So for the chorus section, the acoustic part, we have C major, F sharp major, and F major. So let's play through that. For the latter part of the chorus, we go back to that famous intro chord progression, which really echoes Nirvana. We see this minor third chord progression. So we're playing between C major and E flat major. Then we drop down to D major and then up to F major. Now let's take a look at some of the electric guitar parts found in Just. We start off with these really cool little chord arpeggios that Johnny Greenwood plays in the verse. We have this figure outlining the E flat major chord. So you're sort of raking from that, the 11th fret of the E. You kind of sort of hint at that note and then play the 12th fret G, the 13th fret G, and the 15th fret G. So you get this. And then we move that up a whole tone. So there you're playing that F note on the 13th fret E, 14th fret G, 15th fret G, and 17th fret G. So you put that together. And then the second time round, we play that E flat. And then we drop down here. We play the same figure in B flat. So you're starting from the 6th fret of the E, and then you're playing, so that's 7, 8, and 10 on the G string. So put it together. Then we have this next figure. I love this figure, little lead part. Based around the A minor pentatonic, 7 on the D, 5, 7 on the G, bend the 7 on the G up a whole tone, back to 7 on the D, 5 on the G, and then over that G sharp major. There we're playing 6 on the D to 5, 7 on the G, and then we bend that 7 up a semitone. Now this next lick is fantastic. This is so angular. You're playing just the G major triad, 4 on the G, 5 on the D on the A. And then you're playing over the F sharp. Okay, so you're playing part of the F sharp chord, but you're playing the C note in there. So you've got that flat 5, you've got that tritone. So it's got quite an angular sound to it. And then we jump up to the E flat note, sorry, on the 8th fret, and we bend up a whole tone to the 10th fret. Okay, so now I've swapped over to the drive channel of the boogie, and let's take a look at the chorus chords. This is a great chord part, so I'll play it through first of all. Okay, for this section, we start off with a C chord, and I'm holding it with my thumb playing the root on the 8th fret of the E. We're playing the 10th fret A and D, 9th fret G, and 8th fret of the B. We're keeping the open E on the top, but we're not playing that on the first chord. We then drop down to the F sharp. And you're playing between the open top E and the G string and back to the open top E. So you're adding that flat 7th to the F sharp chord. So you get this. And then you're dropping down to F. And there you play the open top E again and then the B string. So you're adding that open top E, which results in an F major 7th chord. So you're still playing those sort of very saturated, heavy chords, but adding the open strings to add a little bit of extra colour. So now we're onto that signature tremolo picking that Johnny Greenwood is known for, and we're going to play an octave pattern that moves through the diminished whole half scale, starting from C. So I'll play it through for you first of all, and then we'll break it down. Now you're going to be playing octave shapes moving through the C diminished scale. It's a symmetrical scale moving a whole tone, half tone, whole tone, half tone. So we're starting off, we're always going to be 2 frets above on the G string. So the first position is 3 on the A and 5 on the G. So I'm just going to call out the root note position of the A string. So we play that shape, move up to the 5th fret, 6th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret, and then the 11th, 12th fret. And then I always thought it carried on, but he doesn't. He jumps to the top strings. We play the G string at the 4th fret and we play the top E string at the 7th fret. So we have this minor third interval now. So we're going 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 14. And throughout that, you've got to keep that tremolo picking going. So it's pretty tough. So one more time, just moving through the position. Okay, so now let's take a look at our next example, and we're going to be talking about High and Dry. This is an absolutely beautiful track, and it features this fantastic octave pattern as the main figure played on the acoustic guitar, and some very inventive parts played by Johnny Greenwood. So first of all, let's have a listen to the main guitar riff played on the acoustic. So we're playing octave shapes for this riff with the root note on the A string and the octave on the G. So you've got to mute out the D string with your first finger. So we're playing, the first one is a G sharp octave. You're playing 11 on the A and 13 on the G string, and you're keeping the open top 2 strings. And you come in on an upstroke. And then you're sliding down a whole tone to that F sharp octave, so that's 9 on the A and 11 on the G, but still with the open top strings. Back up again to the G sharp. Then we go down to E, so that's 7 on the A, 9 on the G. So let's just have a listen to those 3 octaves played together. So the final time round when you play that E octave, you're going to play the open E string. So let's just have a listen to that in context. So for this next example, we're going to look at this very haunting, unusual sound effect that you hear during the introduction. And this is Johnny using his coin bow. Yes, he's playing the guitar in a bowing sort of a soaring motion on the strings using a coin. Now, I only had a sixpence. I've got a large box of sixpences from doing my Brian May thing. So I'm using a sixpence to do this. Watching him on a live video, he tends to play this down on the lower position, but using the top E. I found that pretty hard to do. So I've chosen to play this figure on the B string. But this is just showing my inexperience of coin bowing, and this is something very new. I've never done this before. So what you're going to do is you're going to play the 12th fret of the B, and you're just going to take the edge of the coin. It's very hard to show this, but I'm just taking the edge of the coin and I'm just sort of sawing it on the string. So you get something like this. Then we're going to drop down to the 10th fret. And then you're going to drop down to the 9th fret. It's important to try and keep this movement quite small and then slide between the positions. So it's quite an unusual technique to be able to play. I'm sure with a little bit more time you'd be able to get it a little bit cleaner. It's just that motion is quite hard, being able to keep it small and consistent. It's quite a tricky thing to be able to do. I should also point out that I really cut the low end. I've tried to make this sound quite thin, and I've laced it with reverb and delay as well. And it's one of those effects that you pull back in the mix as well. Maybe use a volume pedal to fade it in. Okay, so now we're on to our next example, and this is Fake Plastic Trees. My God, I love this song. It's so epic. It's got elements of Jeff Buckley. It's got elements of Pink Floyd. It's got that real kind of anthemic, powerful midsection. So first of all, let's take a look at the main chord progression. You're playing an A major chord. I tend to play this chord with my second, third, and fourth fingers. And you're swapping between an A major and an A sus by moving your little finger up. So you have these chords. The next chord is absolutely beautiful, and this is a D major 9 with the third in the bass. So it's a D major 9 over F sharp. So you've got the D, the A, and the C sharp. So there's your major 7th, and you've got the E, which is the 9th. But then having that F sharp in the bass. It's just such a beautiful sounding chord. And then playing the E major 6th chord. It's just genius, keeping that C sharp there. So it's a regular E major chord with your little finger on the 2nd fret of the B. Then we have a D sus2. It's just a regular D chord with the open top E. Back to A major. And then we have that B minor chord, but it has that E in the top, so it's like a B minor. Well, it's nice, a B minor 7th, so it's a B minor 7 add 11. So you're playing 2 on the A, 2 on the G, 3 on the B, and open top E. There's also a build up on that A sus4 to A major just prior to that big anthemic section. Now we're back onto the electric guitar. Let's take a look at the middle section of Fake Plastic Trees. This is that big, powerful anthemic section. So I'll play it through first of all. Such a fun part to play. I wouldn't really think too much about the tab when it comes to learning this. Just get the part down and then just play through it. I watched Johnny Greenwood playing it live. I always thought he was, playing more of those open position power chords. I did double track this during the performance. Watching Ed O'Brien, he seems to have his hand more in this position. So you've got a bit more of a traditional power chord on one side. And then Johnny's sort of holding this like an octave shape. He's holding the chord, the A chord, but he isn't always playing the full A major chord. You're hearing more of the root on the 5th and the octave on the 7th fret D. Dropping down to that F sharp, and then we have a unison bend, 2 on the B and 4 on the G upper whole tone. And then we're playing 7 to 9 on the G, and then up to the 11. Back down to the 9, and then 2 up to 4. Up to 6, then 6. 7, and then 9, 11, 13, 14, and then up to 16. All on the G string. But in between those notes, occasionally he's hitting open A's and open D's. You get something like this. He's bouncing off of those open strings. Very much a feel thing. Watching him play it live, he's very... he's just whacking the hell out of the guitar. So don't worry about being too precise with it. Get the melody down and then just, kind of go for it a little bit. Okay, then on to the next part. We have that A octave shape. Now, this is the bit. I am pretty sure that one of the guitars on the original is bending that F note. You can hear a note bending, and it just seems something that Johnny Greenwood would do. If you want, you can just... But the F sharp note isn't bending. It's like he's bending into it or from the F. You can hear a note bending. So I've gone with that. It's open to debate, I guess, but it's not someone hitting the guitar too hard, because it's not the F sharp note that's bending. You can hear the note bending into the F sharp. Maybe it's just my ears. Maybe I've just rewritten Fake Plastic Trees, but I'm pretty sure it's doing something like that. So you're bending that first fret and then playing the open D and the 2nd fret of the G, B, and open E. And then play that E major 6th chord. Then we're playing the D sus chord, but we've got the A in the root. Okay, now for my fourth example, I was really torn here. I wanted to do 5 examples, and this next song has 2 examples in it that I really like. Maybe I should have just grouped this one together and done Street Spirit. Maybe we'll look at Street Spirit in its entirety, because that track, I think, demands ultimate respect with those 2 guitar parts that are playing in unison that are sort of counter melodies. Absolutely genius. But for this example, I'm kicking in the whammy pedal. So let's have a look to the verse progression or the verse riff from My Iron Lung. So this is a great example of how Johnny Greenwood will use an effect to create a part. And here we're using the whammy pedal. I've got my original 1992 whammy one. I've had this pedal for absolutely forever. And what we're doing is we've got the pedal pushed down and we've got it set to an octave higher. So let's have a listen to the part first of all. So you're playing G. So 3rd fret E, open G, 3rd fret B, and then the open B. And then you're playing the 3rd fret of the D, open G, and the open B. So it's like a G7. So you're going from G major to G7. And then we're playing a C minor chord, but with the E flat in the root. That's the chord, but you're not playing that C root. So that's 1 on the D, open G, 1 on the B. Bend the 2nd fret G up. Back around the G figure again. And then finally we have these diminished 7th chords. So you're kind of voicing, I'm hearing that as an F sharp diminished 7th. Because then it leads back to that G chord. So you're playing 1 on the D, 2 on the G, and 1 on the B. And then moving that up a minor 3rd. So that's 4 on the D, 5 on the G, 4 on the B. So put the progression together. It's a really nice chord progression to practice anyway. But now if we engage the whammy pedal, turning that on, push the pedal down, so we're an octave higher. So it's kind of adding, it's almost like a Nashville tuning, I guess, but with this weird kind of freaky low bit rate effect, a very kind of jagged, stuttery sound. So you get this. And all the notes are kind of arguing with one another. So now I thought we'd show Ed O'Brien some love, and Ed is playing a really beautiful, yet very, very straightforward melody using the E bow over this section. So you're just going to be playing the 12th fret of the G and fading in the notes with my volume pedal. He's playing something along those lines, playing 12 on the G, 14 on the G, and then bending that 14 up a semitone. Okay, so now we're going to look at our final riff. This is my final favourite moment, if you like, although it's not. There's a lot more favourite moments on this album. But this is the chorus riff to My Iron Lung. So let's have a listen to it. Now, Now, this riff kind of reminds me a little bit of Jimi Hendrix, I have to say. And what I've done here is I've put two of the parts together. I've actually combined a little bit of Ed O'Brien's part and the main part played by Johnny Greenwood as well. They're both playing the main riff, but they're doing different parts during that little descending figure. But what I chose to do at the front end was to include what Ed plays, and Ed's playing this sixth interval. He's playing 4 on the A and 3 on the G, and then he just drops that down a semitone. So you have those two parts going together. So we started off with that part, Ed's part, and then we're into this main riff. You got these mutes and slides. So you're playing 3rd fret G and 3rd fret B, so you're kind of outlining a G minor there. You got the root and the minor third. And then we do the same thing on C. So we're playing the C note on the 3rd fret A, but we play the B flat on the 3rd fret of the G, so it's outlining a C7. Then we play that open E string, and we play that B flat, so we've got the tritone there. And then we have that chromatic figure. You know, I'm really sort of throwing myself at the guitar, if you like, playing it with a lot of aggression. You know, try to work on your muting so that you don't get lots of open strings, but I don't really think it matters, to be honest with you, if you listen to Radiohead play it live. In fact, this whole section of the song on the album had such a great feel to it when they played it live. This was actually, I believe, from the Brixton Academy gig that was broadcast by MTV, and they actually got the 24-track tapes from MTV. What they recorded in the studio, they didn't feel captured that sort of energy that they have live. So the verse parts were recorded in the studio, but then they cut in the live section from this performance, which is what you hear on the album. It's pretty cool that that section, the choruses, are all live takes from a live concert. Okay, so that's it from me. Once again, follow the link in the description where you can download the tab to accompany this lesson. Please subscribe if you don't already. Really working on some cool things here on the channel. And also we're working behind the scenes on getting content put together to launch the 6-String Alliance Academy. So lots of exciting stuff going on. Anyway, that's it from me. Stay tuned for more videos. Bye for now.